little bit different today because we're going to paint outside the subject matter. But to start with, I'm taping down the Fabriano medium weight paper. I like this paper because it takes a fair bit of punishment. Using low-tack tape, which when I take it off will give me a nice white border, and taping it down into plywood. If you have a block of watercolour that's already gummed down, then you don't need to do it, but this is an economical way of using the paper. Right, now I'm mixing up a good old juicy puddle of watercolour. The colours I'm using are the leafy sort of, that's raw sienna or quinacridone gold, green or green gold, and ultramarine blue. So I'm mixing up a good juicy puddle on my palette. If they run together, don't worry about it because they're going to run together on the painting, or we hope so. So now I sort of almost slosh the colours down in various directions, not using the ultramarine blue, just the yellow and the raw sienna and the green. Shake, rattle and roll, so they roll together on the wet surface. I should have met you, because you've wet the surface substantially before. Now I dry it off, so you've got a lovely diffuse background. Sometimes the paint is blown around by the dryer, but that's okay. That sort of adds to the beautiful softness of it all, so that's absolutely fine. Make sure it's quite dry, then add your first layer of leaves. I'm using a watercolour pencil here. Very simple shapes, not too complicated. And just draw them in lightly if you wish, or you can, it doesn't really matter if you see the lines on, doesn't bother me. Now I add a little bit of ultramarine blue to the palette, and I paint around the leaves. This is called negative painting. It's a very important exercise in watercolour because reserving the lighter colour underneath for the leaves. Now I dry it with a hairdryer once again. Now I come in with a second layer of leaves. I'm actually drawing them behind the first layer, so I don't see the whole leaf at times. Just think in terms of what you see when you see leaves lying on the ground. Beautiful shapes with leaves. You can do all sorts of exciting things. Now some more ultramarine blue on the palette, and I'm painting around the leaves again. This time it's a little darker, and you can see they're starting to stand out. And I've dried it off. Now the third layer of leaves to repeat. This time the last layer is going to have a lot more ultramarine blue added to it. And as I paint it in, you can see how the leaves are starting to stand out now, with the lightest ones on top. So you've almost painted from the front to the back, if that makes sense. Also very carefully painting in the gaps in between the leaves. I'm using the number 12 Silver 88 round, which has got a beautiful point on it. And you do need a good point on the brush for this kind of work. I almost paint away from the leaves, as you see, and around the leaves. It's a great way to get free and loose paintings because you're less focused on the shape of the leaf than rather on the background, or you should be, and that's called a negative painting. Not as in a pessimistic kind of way, it's just you're painting the negative shape behind the positive shape of the leaves. Nearly finished. See how I'm turning the brush around the leaves. Sometimes I turn it upside down to do it. Fill in the edges, and there you have it. At the end, I actually decided to put in some more little veins on the leaves, but you can if you wish or not. It depends on how you feel. And if, there we are, if the lines show, well, that can be dark or light as you wish. So I hope you enjoyed the painting.